Hey, so for those of you who don't know, my name is Micah Long. I'm making this video primarily because we're living in weird times. I'm confined to my parents' house, which hasn't happened for a while. Kind of strange. I'm sure many of you, especially those who are at the King's College as well, are in a similar boat of strange uncertainty. We're locked up. We don't really know what to do. In order to sort of foster my own significance and give myself a sense of purpose while I'm quarantined, I decided I wanted to make some videos. And here's kind of the premise of these videos. I want to look at St. Augustine's book, The City of God. Now, for those of you who don't know Augustine or Augustine or however you want to pronounce his name, he's obviously one of the greatest Christian theologians of all time. His book is written, City of God, was written after the fall of the Western Roman Empire, after Rome was sacked by the Visigoths, I believe in 410. And Augustine's really writing his book in order to defend against those who say that Christianity is responsible for the fall of Rome. Now, Augustine, like us, is living in the midst of a sort of civilization ending time. And we might be thinking, well, we're not quite on the level of the fall of Rome, and we're definitely not, right? But one of the things I think City of God provides particular relevance for is thinking about how Christians should respond to dramatic and unexpected societal changes. So, my goal here is to create sort of a series of videos based on the City of God. I'm reading through it. It's a huge book. It's like 22 different books. The book's about this thick, this tall. I'll have it for you in the next video. I've been working my way through it a bit, and there's a lot there. And I'm not really interested in getting bogged down in a lot of his particular technical philosophical arguments or his historical context or what influences were in his life, although I think that stuff is really interesting. I really want it to be more like a series of devotionals, which means that if you're out there and you're thinking, well, this seems kind of interesting, but I don't want to think too much, or I just want to be entertained, or I just want to look at Micah wave his hands around like a crazy person, it means you don't have to watch all of these. I'm going to try to post them every couple days, and they're just going to be quick reflections on the City of God. They're going to be commentaries that I hope will help us sort of contextualize Augustine's message into the 21st century coronavirus pandemic. And that's for Christians specifically. I might make occasional interesting connections to other literature I've been reading and thinking about, but for the most part, I'm going to be sticking alongside the text, just working through to what I find interesting and relevant. So, like I said, it's a beast of a book, super long, 22 books. Each one of the books has, chapters that range from half a page to like 3 pages, and they're like are 30 chapters per book. There's a lot of material is what I'm saying. So I don't know how many of these videos I'll make, but I'll keep trying to put them out there, assuming I don't die or something. And so there's going to be a lot to think about, but one of the things I want to start with is this idea right at the beginning of the book. Augustine says his purpose in writing the City of God is to defend the City of God, the kingdom of God, Christ's kingdom, and specifically its founder, Christ, against those who believe in other gods, or in other words, the pagans of his time. So this is a book about idolatry in many ways. And as we're taking a step back from our culture, I think an interesting thing to do would be to consider, first of all, our culture's idols. But I think that's, for Christians, an easy thing to do. We can easily point our fingers and say, hey, that's a bad thing, or, oh, we really love that too much, we shouldn't love that. So it's good to examine our cultural idols, but I also want to turn it back in and say, which of our cultural idols have we begun to worship? I've been reading a book recently for one of my classes called Everyday Theology by Kevin Van Hooser, and he says in the opening of the book, he's quoting an anthropologist or sociologist who talks about if we want to find sort of the idols of a culture or the primary values of a culture, we first want to look at what they fear. And in a time of uncertainty, sometimes our fears are released. So I guess what I'd encourage you to do, and what I'm going to be trying to do, is looking at what are my idols. The very first one that pops into my mind is an idol of security or of comfort. As I thought about leaving New York and moving to Kansas City, I thought, wow, that's like a terrifying thing. I don't like that very much because it disrupts my normal order. I value stability. Another fear I was identifying is sort of insignificance. I do a lot of public speaking, and I like to think that I say things well and I say things that people want to hear. So when I'm not in front of a crowd, I start to go, am I accomplishing my purpose? This is scary. I don't like to be in this nebulous place where I feel purposelessness. And maybe purpose and meaning are good things, but if we're not ultimately placing purpose and meaning in God, right? We have to question what are the other sources that those are going towards. And maybe for me, it's validation, or maybe for me, it's competence, or for me, it's productivity. I find that these tend to be my idols. So I hope you guys can think about that too. I hope that some of the things I say or wander through or ponder through will inspire you to think and maybe read some Augustine for yourself. I'd love it if you guys did that, and we could start conversations about that. But I hope you'll gain from it. Feel free to reach out to me. I'm not sure how much I'll be engaging on the online platforms. I have a bit of a wary relationship with social media. I'm going to try to post these every other day, but like I said, feel free to reach out to me. And I look forward to releasing more of these.